Hey y'all, it's Friday. Welcome back to another season of Camouflage Beauty. It's March, and so we pause to celebrate and recognize Women History Month. Honestly, we celebrate women here every day on the Camo platform. However, this is a good time to remember that as women, your story is powerful and it can inspire so many others around you to be more and do more. If you have a birthday coming up this month, you know what to do. I'll see you on IG when you tag us and we'll shout you out. Thanks to our listener, Alicia Jones, who put me onto our wine choice for the month. Sun Goddess Wine by Mary J. Blige will be added to my wine cabinet for sure. That's the wine I'm drinking. You can get the Sun Goddess Wine of Mary J. Blige collection from Total Wine. For all my fitness gurus, whether you're just starting out or you've been doing this for quite some time, this month is specially for you. We'll be right back. You're listening to Camouflaged Beauty, a podcast of shared experiences for military women. My guest today makes running look super easy. I saw her race medal display and I was like, let me find out this lady's secret so I can get my entire life together. She's a mother of two, a veteran of the Air Force, a senior supply chain manager in global sourcing and procurement, supporting bank IT services for USAA, and a running enthusiast. Candy has done over 150 half marathons, 14 full marathons, and 3 50K races. And here I am dreading the return of the Air Force PT test. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? Welcome to the platform.
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome. So I have so many questions for you, like I said, to help get my life together because, when I think long distance running, I think a 5K, maybe a 10K on a good day. So how did your journey start?
Well, actually, ironically, my journey started in high school. In middle school, I was a track and field participant, but very much like you, I dreaded long distance. I was a sprinter, jogging around a curve and a straightaway, which is like a 200-yard dash. That was it for me. I was happy with that. But I joined the Air Force, and of course, running kind of became a part of our everyday life, at least once a year for every PT test. But what really sparked my interest in long distance running was, ironically, the death of my infant son in December of 2007. And so I was at home with no baby on maternity leave, 6 weeks, Air Force maternity leave, with nothing to do. And my next door neighbor says, hey, I go out and I'll jog 3 miles every day. And she's like, come on and join me. And I'm like, every day? Are you nuts? Are you kidding? I don't know about that. But, she kind of got me out there. And true to form, I was huffing and puffing, for several weeks. And then eventually it became easier and easier. And it became a point in time when I was like, hey, I'm feeling good. You want to go any longer? She's like, no, I'm having my coffee. I'm out. So after I would do my 3 miles with her, then I'd run a couple of more. And so that kind of became my daily habit. And then I asked myself a question. I was like, what am I running for? I have to have a goal. It's just seemingly just running aimlessly around the neighborhood. So I'd heard of this event called a half marathon. And so I looked it up and I found an event in my area, the Marine Corps Historic Half. And so within that 6-month period from December to May, when my first half marathon was held, I registered and I ran it. And the rest is history from there.
So let me get this straight. Yes. Straight. First, I am sorry to hear about your son, but it seemed as if you repurposed that energy and pain into something positive, which is amazing. And that's inspiring in itself. But you're telling me that you went from my stage of sitting on the couch to running in half a marathon in 6 months.
Yes.
That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. So that has to take a level of determination and commitment. What is your schedule, then starting out, or even now? What does your schedule look like when preparing for such a big race?
Well, when I am in shape and in racing level fitness, my regimen is running 2 or 3 times a week, short distances, and then once a week, usually on a weekend, a Saturday or Sunday, a long run, which could be anywhere from 8 to 10 miles. I'm like a bear in hibernation now, so I'm packing on the fat. So, COVID didn't help either.
Right.
So I don't really have a running regimen now, but as I said before, when I'm in that racing mode, that's generally, how it's done. And I hate strength training, but I kind of try to do it at least twice a week too.
Wow. So you have two children, a son and a daughter, teenagers at
Yes.
that, and training for a marathon and, also experiencing such a big loss in your life.
Right. Well, it is very difficult to balance, and sometimes you just simply don't get in the training or the preparation time, that you need. I'm fairly fortunate in that I understand my body and its capabilities. So it is not impossible for me to get up off the couch and go and run a half marathon the next day. Uh, Obviously, I don't necessarily, say that it will be pain free, but I can go out and do it. I certainly wouldn't do it with a full marathon. In fact, a lot of the races last year were converted to virtual races. And so in October of last year, I had the opportunity to participate in the New York City and the Marine Corps Marathon virtually. So a friend and I, we went to a local park, which had a 1.5 mile looped course. And so we
Ugh.
completed a marathon walking, doing loop after loop after loop. I felt very much like a hamster in a wheel, but we got it done.
Right.
But, for me, running helps me achieve the balance. It was definitely my coping mechanism after the loss of my son, and it gave me a little bit of a motivation of something positive to focus on.
Absolutely. What about your kids now? How do they feel about running?
Oh boy, that's definitely a loaded question. In addition to running for myself, I do like to support running in the local community. So, in addition to just pacing half marathon races on occasion, a few years ago, I was a coach for long distance runners for the Amateur Athletic Union, a local running club for youth. And so, of course, my kids were voluntold to participate. And so their summers were spent for several years running. My daughter made it to the Junior Olympics twice.
Nice.
And my son was just very lucky that my interest kind of diverted. So he did not have to deal with training for races in the sweltering summer heat of San Antonio, Texas. But, he incorporated all of the guidance and things that I provided and the other coaches provided. So now he's an avid basketball, soccer, and track a person. He's in the 6th grade, and my daughter, she's a senior in high school, and basketball is her first love, and she also runs track too. So, despite their initial protests, and they won't admit it, but mom did a good thing by getting them involved in track and field.
Yes, you did, because that is the foundation of all the other sports and events that they take part in. So that is awesome that they're still utilizing those foundational skills that you developed with them. What about a diet? So for me, they say diet is like 50% of the task. And for
Yes.
me, I am like a chips and cookies type of person, unfortunately. So how strict is your diet when you're preparing for a race?
What diet?
I like that. Now I
I
can
mean,
get with that.
I am a lover of fried foods. French fries are my guilty pleasure. So, unfortunately, my diet is not as pristine as I would like. Uh, when I was in peak physical condition, then yes, I try to stick to, chicken, fish, vegetables, and try to cut out as much of the processed foods and breads and, things like that. But I've never met a carb that I didn't like. So,
Amen to that.
I will say I do my part for the carb loading prior to half marathons and marathons. But, ideally, yes, I can tell a difference in my fitness and abilities when I'm eating properly and when I'm slacking, for sure.
Sure. So that takes me to my next question. Do you have any, and how important do you think accountability partners are in a journey like this?
Well, I think it kind of depends on the individual. I started off, with a neighbor that I told you about and running the 3 miles, and that was great to kind of get me going. But I think if you're going to abuse yourself by going out and running 13 miles or 26 miles or 30 miles in a 50K race, you have to be accountable to yourself. Certainly I'm involved in various running groups and things like that, but, I personally, hold myself accountable. And if I have somebody to take along the journey with me, all the better, all the better,
Nice. Very
but
nice.
but for those that may be just starting out, it definitely would make things a lot more interesting having, another partner there to go on that running journey with you.
For sure. So over 150 half marathons, which so many races you've done. If do you have a favorite? And if so, why?
Well, it would just kind of depend. My favorite scenic half marathon would be the Lake Tahoe trifecta. It was a running event that occurred Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in October. So we ran a half marathon each day, and it was around Lake Tahoe. And so we ran, on the California side and the Nevada side, and it was just beautiful. It was beautiful. The most exciting full marathon I've run is the New York City marathon. It was incredible. And I am not a city person. Take me out to the suburbs. I need space. I don't need to see people. But it was incredible. I mean, the public came out and cheering you on by the millions, and you run through all 5 boroughs of New York City and you finish up in Central Park. So, I would have to say that's the most amazing. My favorite international race was a half marathon in Canada, and it was the Niagara Women's Half Marathon. So you ran past the
Ooh.
falls twice during the race. So, I just love combining running with traveling. And so, I have so many favorites because of
That's
that.
amazing. So, what, and I always wonder this when you are running 26 miles or 13 if you're doing a half, what goes through your mind?
That's my usual first thought after the first 3 miles is I paid to do this. you know, it's a mental process for me, taking it in little bites and chunks. For me, running is kind of cathartic. I can clear my mind of my problems or issues that I have at work or at home. And there's something so refreshingly simple about just concentrating on breathing in and breathing out. If you don't have air, you're not thinking about, the problem employee at work,
Yeah.
or the kids failing grade in science. You're just trying to get your next breath, and maintain a rhythm and a pace. So, a lot of times I'm able to solve my problems while I'm running because you're just reduced to the basic elements. For those longer distances like full marathons and 50Ks, like I said before, it is very much a mental sport. once you're in the double digit miles. And so I just set intermediate goals. It's like, okay, I'm at mile 13. Let me just get to mile 15, and then I start a countdown, so, that's what I do to just kind of keep me motivated and keep me going to get to that finish line, and then the post race party is also a good motivator too.
Oh, yeah, I would definitely need a party at the end. I mean, one day I may be there. It is a goal of mine to one day compete in something more than a 10K just to accomplish it and say that I did it. But they may need to get the stretcher to bring me off the track at the end of it all. So we shall see.
No.
We will build up to that. So we often hear people, runners talk about this runner's high. Now, the most I've ever done is a 10K. I've only done twice my whole life. So, I don't have a lot of experience, but I've never gotten this runner's high. When does that kick in?
Well, I've heard about it too. And I mean, physiologically, the only thing I can think of is that you get the endorphins flowing. And there is a certain part in a race before the fatigue sets in and after I've warmed up all of my muscles, where my breathing is perfect, my rhythm is perfect, the footfalls are falling effortlessly. It usually means it's a flat surface, no hills. You do get that feeling of euphoria, like you can just continue to do that run forever. Unfortunately, for me, at least, it doesn't last very long. But when I can achieve it, I will milk it for all that it's worth.
Yeah, no, I could see that. I always wonder, like, am I ever going to achieve this? Maybe I'm doing it wrong, So speaking of, from your experience, do you have any advice for new runners, things that we shouldn't do or should probably focus more on if we want to achieve those types of goals?
Well, certainly. Well, obviously, consistency is key, but I think just as importantly for new runners is to build up slowly. A lot of times we get very enthusiastic when we have a new hobby and we want to go all out all at once. But I found, even with myself, that can be a recipe for disaster. My advice is to build up your mileage slowly. Otherwise, you increase your chance for injury, or shin splints, sprains, you name it. Another tip that I would say is don't skimp on the equipment. You think, oh, all I need is a pair of tennis shoes and I can go out and run. It's not as free a sport as you would think, because shoes are very, very important. And, I always advise folks to go to a running store and have them do a gait analysis to determine the best proper shoe for you, because I have gotten wrong shoes before. I've learned I'm a neutral runner, but I think one time I purchased shoes because I like the color, and it turned sorry, I have to run, but I don't see why I can't look good too.
Exactly.
But and I ended up buying a shoe for overpronator, and it was miserable, running on it. So, I'm a big believer in that, and, not spare any expense. So while I might balk at, spending $20 on a pair of lipstick, I'll fork out $180 for a pair of running shoes in a heartbeat.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Do you have any running day or race day rituals or superstitions for yourself?
Not really. I run on an empty stomach. I know some people will eat a light breakfast, especially if it's a longer race. I don't. I find that if I eat, it messes up with my GI tract in running, and that is not a good combination at all. Especially if porta potties are lacking. But no, I just try to, I'll sit in my car. I'll get to the race site kind of early, I guess. So I guess that is kind of a ritual. If the race starts at 8, I'll probably get there by 6:30, because I hate searching for parking. So I'll get parked, and then if I haven't picked up my race packet, I'll do that. And then I'll go back in my car and I'll sit and relax, and then I'll, wait till more runners come in. And one of my race sponsors is the Texas Beef Council. And so usually at many of my races, I'll wear their jersey. And so in Texas, there's a huge community of beef team members. And, it's great going to a race and then you'll see them. So prior to the race start, we'll all get together, take pictures, and things like that and, have a good time. But there's really no firm ritual, just habit.
No, well, you make it sound so super easy. And I hope that one day I can get just a small percentage of, what it is that you do. And I'm sure you're inspiring so many different people that are listening right now. Candy, do you have any final thoughts or words for anyone, whether they want to be a marathon runner, do a 50K, or we just want to get off the couch or pass the PT test? Anything for us?
Yes. I mean, I would just say, whatever your goal is, just get up off the couch. Sometimes starting is the hardest thing to do. So I would just say, get up, tie up those laces on those running shoes and, hit the road or the treadmill, whatever environment works best for you, given, the climate and current circumstances. Anything is achievable. Like I said, it is a mental sport as well. So as long as you have the heart and the desire, anybody can run a 5K all the way up to those ultra marathons.
Well, I'm going to keep your voice in my head when I decide to get off the couch and really get out here and do a little bit more than, the 1.5 miles for the PT test. So
Yes.
I will try to remember your words of wisdom as I am cringing and crying about getting across this finish line for time.
Embrace it. No, don't approach it as the cringing and crying.
I know. I'm trying. And so I try to, my thing is, okay, do something every day. It doesn't matter how much it is, but if you do something every day and move, I hope that will eventually get me to where I want to be.
Absolutely. And don't forget, you don't have to run the entire race. I've had various medical situations where I was physically unable to run the entire course, the entire time. But Jeff Galloway, who's a renowned runner, and others proposed what they call the interval method, where you might run for 30 seconds, walk 30 seconds, and you can kind of build up or find out what works with your tolerance. And you'll find that your end time is often just as good, if not better, than if you had tried to run the whole race, exhausted yourself, walked, and then walked the final part of it. So, keep that in mind. We're all runners, but we don't have to always run the entire race. And I think you might, have a better chance of success and feel better about your chances of success, knowing that you can go in and do walking intervals too.
Certainly excellent advice. Well, Candy, thank you so much for joining us today on our platform.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
They say it's not the distance you must conquer in running. However, you must conquer yourself. That's it for me, y'all. Until next time. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. You can find us on the book, IG, or Twitter. Email us your stories to camobeautystories@gmail.com. That's it for me, y'all. Until next time, be kind to your body, soul, and mind.